Our next topic is sunflower weed control, and Darren and I were debating a little bit because here, in my opinion, are the two reasons why sunflower weed control is so tough. Number one, in conventional sunflowers, you have no way to kill weeds post-emerge, and number two, you have horrible crop canopy compared to many other crops. You disagree?
Well, I definitely do, and you know, my idea is this. With sunflowers, it's not just about one thing. It's not about which herbicide are you going to pick that's going to do better than the other. The biggest thing with sunflowers is to realize, hey, look, they need to be fertilized. They're our crop. They're going to pull nutrients out of the soil. And many guys raising sunflowers say, oh, they're a great scavenger. They'll pull out everything out of the soil. They are a great scavenger. They will pull stuff out of the soil. But man, imagine if you feed them. The guys that actually fertilize get leaves that are huge. They get sunflowers that grow taller. The stalks are tremendously thick. Compared to where you aren't fertilizing, they're like the size of my pinky, and the crop gets 3 feet tall. If you're raising sunflowers like that, I don't care where you are, how dry it is, you're doing something wrong on the fertility side. You've got to fertilize to get a good crop canopy, and then all these weed control products that we're going to talk about are going to work so much better.
It's like we say with any crop that there is, crop canopy is the very best weed killer that's out there. It's better than any herbicide that's ever been made. I just disagree with Darren a little bit because in a lot of cases with sunflowers, as hard as you try, you're just not going to have great crop canopy. It can be good. There's a difference between poor crop canopy and good crop canopy, but even so, you're going to have a real tough time getting perfect weed control unless you start with 2 good pre-emerge herbicides.
Well, this is where it really comes down to. And when we're talking about sunflowers, a lot of guys are familiar, okay, well, I'm going to use Spartan. And Spartan's great. I don't have any issue with that. Spartan's a fantastic product. I would always use it ahead of my sunflowers unless there's some rotational crop that you're going to have an issue with. But I really don't see that in most sunflower areas. This year, you could even buy Spartan Charge that has a little kicker with some additional aim. And that's going to be even cheaper than Spartan in many cases. So if you get that kind of deal, now you got 2 products out there instead of 1. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's 2 products, but aim has no residual. All it is a burn down product. It's going to help the Spartan burn down whatever weeds are there, so it's no big deal. The only reason why we're going with that mainly, like in conventional tillage, is it's slightly cheaper than regular Spartan. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why that is, but that's just what it is. So a lot of guys now are buying Spartan Charge, so just take a look at that before you buy your Spartan this year.
Well, every once in a while you get a deal like that, but don't get lazy about this and say, well, I already put 2 products out there. No, you haven't. Like Brian said, you've only got 1 residual product in Spartan Charge. You have to put something with it. And really, there are 2 choices. Now, you could use some Truffland, but why would you do that when you could use Sonalan and it's a little bit better product? And in sunflowers, you don't have rescue products, so you need to do the best thing you can pre-emerge. The other thing that you could do if you're in no-till and you say, I can't use Sonalan because I have to do some tillage if I do that, then use Prowl. Prowl's a good product too. The new Prowl H2O is even a little better than the previous formulation. So use Prowl H2O along with your Spartan Charge. You've got a pretty good pre-emerge product. And then post-emerge, again, we got to have some great canopy. Otherwise, there are a couple options.
Well, you can use a grass control product. Like let's say you had Select Max or a generic Select product. I mean, that's going to do fairly well on most every grass that's going to come up. So I'm not too worried about grasses. What we are worried about is broadleaves post-emerge. And unfortunately, we don't have Roundup Ready sunflowers. We do have 2 other options, though. We have Clearfield sunflowers and Express Sun sunflowers.
With the Clearfield flowers, you can use Beyond, which is basically like Raptor that we'd use in other crops like alfalfa or soybeans. It's a pretty good product, but it isn't ALS, so you have to keep in mind ALS-resistant kochia and any other ALS-resistant weeds you're not going to do a decent job on. The good thing about Beyond is it has some grass activity in addition to broadleaf activity. It's got a wide range of broadleaves that it controls. Also by residual, it'll control some weeds too. On the grass side, it's going to suppress even some of the toughest grasses like cheatgrass, for example, but it does an okay job on foxtails. Like you say, it's no replacement for the pre-emerge product. It's going to do good on escape grasses. That'd be a better way to say it.
When you look at the Express Sun sunflowers, Express is definitely less expensive than what Beyond is, but there's a reason why. It doesn't have nearly the broad spectrum of weed control. It's just a broadleaf killer, and it doesn't have good residual like what Beyond would have. If you start talking Express Sun, yeah, it's nice as an option. You'll have some activity on some buckwheat and some pigweeds and lamb's quarters and things like that. but beyond that, you're not going to have very good weed control.
Nice pun there, Brian. You know, if you're talking about sunflowers, you just have to start out with a good whole program. Plant that crop correctly, get some good fertility out there, and make sure you've got a couple of pre's down.
Now, when you start with 2 pre-emerge herbicides, I know it's going to cost some money, and your excuse is going to be, well, I farm in dry country. You know what? It's even more important for you to have good weed control in dry country, because if you have any weeds out there, they're going to rob that valuable water and nutrients for your crop. You can't have that. You've got to have good weed control. So if you want to raise a great sunflower crop, you certainly can. You can raise a tremendous crop, but you have to have as good a weed control as possible. So again, use 2 pre-emerge herbicides. I'd start with that always.
The other thing that we didn't mention is having a great burn down. If you're in no-till or if you've got some perennial weeds out there like our weed of the week, that may be your only choice in sunflowers. We'll show you what will control this weed and other crops coming up later in the show.